There are certain champions who are just way better suited for specific ranks. So in today's video, we're going to be providing you guys with the best champions for 3 separate elo brackets. We'll be splitting the rank tiers up into 3 brackets and giving you guys 5 optimal champions for each bracket. The first bracket will be called low elo and consists of the ranks iron, bronze, and silver. The second bracket will be mid elo, and this one will be comprised of the ranks gold, plat, and emerald. And then for the final tier, we have high elo, which will be every rank diamond and above. And are you sick of losing games from bad teammates? Well, at SkillCapped, we turn your frustrating losses into satisfying wins. Take our brand new Season 14 courses that teach you the secrets to winning as a top laner, jungler, mid laner, AD carry, and support. Then pair that with our other new courses on how to counter OP top and mid laners, master your jungle clears, or check out our new Bronze to Diamond series. We even have new Season 14 courses on macro, wave control, trading, setting and hotkeys, CSing, vision, mechanics, low elo, mistakes, and the list goes on. Then head on over to our Smurf commentaries. Simply select the champion you want to master and get guides from challenger experts teaching you how to play your champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. You're even guaranteed to have all your questions answered by that very same challenger expert. Our service really does work, and that's why we offer a rank up guarantee. If you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below right now to get the rank you've always dreamed of. So we'll start the video off by covering the 5 best champions for low elo, and for top lane, there's really nobody better than Mundo right now. There are a few factors that make Mundo so optimal for the lower ranks. First is that his early game is quite mediocre, but he scales incredibly well into the mid to late game. If we look at Mundo's win rate based on game length chart that can be found on Lolalytics, we can see exactly that. In games that only last between 15 to 25 minutes, Mundo has a pretty average to below average win rate, so he's not stomping the early game and closing things out quickly. In games that go beyond 25 minutes though, that's where you see a pretty nice spike in win rate up to 54%, and then it tops out at 55% in games that are between 30 to 35 minutes. Since games in the lower ranks last longer on average, this makes Mundo a much better suited champion for the lower ranks than high elo. Mundo becomes this unkillable raid boss who can still output a ton of damage while being relatively easy to play at the same time, which just makes him perfect for low elo. For Mundo's core build, what's working best right now is a Heartsteel Rush into Unending Despair second and Spirit Visage third. As for the rune page, look to take Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, while Biscuits and Approach Velocity are for secondaries. For our low elo jungle selection, he's always been a great low elo pick, but is absolutely excelling even more right now, and that champ is Warwick. There are many factors that make Warwick a great low elo jungler, but one of the best is that he has the ability to move around the map so quickly. With Warwick's W, he gains bonus movement speed towards champions that are low on health, so in a way, it's like the game is telling you to go get a free kill. When you get an early lead with Warwick, he's a champ where you can just end up stat checking everyone, and unless you make some dumb play where you dive into the enemy team alone, winning those 2v2 and 3v3 skirmishes becomes super easy and a great way to snowball even harder. Mid game is where Warwick really comes online because his item spikes are just so powerful. The core build for Warwick consists of a Stridebreaker Rush into Blade of the Ruined King second. Both items provide passives that slow enemies, which help to give Warwick some really nice added sticking power. For the rune page, grab Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, while Celerity and Water Walking are for secondaries. The undisputed best mid lane champion for low elo if you want to climb fast is Malzahar. Malz is a champion who has a very weak early game but spikes with each item completion and really comes online when he's got his Rylai's. Pre-6 on Malz is all about surviving and securing as much farm as possible without giving up any kills to the enemy. Once you get level 6 and have Lost Chapter completed, that's when you can begin to play the game. You can start shoving out waves and looking to play around your jungler to find a catch with your R. Something you really need to be doing on Malz to accelerate into your early Lost Chapter buy is taking Mana Crystal as your starting item instead of Doran's Ring. This strat is more commonly used in high elo, but it should be used way more often in the lower ranks. Mana Crystal start does make you a bit more squishy in lane, which can be exploited by good players, but in the lower ranks, you really won't get punished as hard for this. The complete core build for Malz consists of a Blackfire Torch Rush into Rylai's second and Leandri's third. For the rune page, look to grab Aerie with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch, while Free Boots and Cosmic Insight are the best secondaries. There are a few pretty good candidates for the low elo ADC spot right now, but the one champ who's just always up there no matter what is Miss Fortune. There are 2 key factors that make Miss Fortune a really good low elo ADC. The first is that she has a tool in her kit, being her ultimate, that deals a load of damage but does not involve her doing anything mechanically intensive to pull it off. The second factor is that her meta builds are all AD heavy, which means your upfront damage is going to be very high. In turn, you won't need to be auto-weaving as immaculately as someone like Vayne in order to deal a good chunk of damage. Just throwing out one auto attack and using your Q is going to deal a good amount of damage with Miss Fortune. So overall, there's just less skill required to make MF optimal compared to the majority of other ADCs, which makes her extremely well suited for low elo. For the core build right now, you've got 2 different options. It's either lethality or crit, and you should decide which build to run based on the enemy comp. If they're a tankier team, go crit, and if you're up against majority squishy squishies, then go lethality. First Strike is what works best for Misfortune's Keystone rune in the lower ranks. Press the Attack is viable as well, however, First Strike is higher value in low elo due to games lasting longer, and therefore you'll be able to get more gold out of the rune. In order to climb out of low elo from the support role, picking a champion who can be the sole carry themselves is what we'd recommend, and right now Vel'Koz is the best in that regard. Vel was just buffed in a really nice way a few patches back with his R cooldown dropping by 20 seconds, which has made his early to mid-game kill threat so much better. Even though the skill ceiling may be higher with Vel'Koz than many other supports, just being able to play him at a basic level is good enough to be incredibly impactful in low elo. When poking with Q in lane, you really want to focus on throwing it out whenever the enemy is going for a last hit on a minion. Don't just throw the spell out randomly, because if you're using it when the enemy has the last hit, your chance of landing the spell shoots up significantly since the enemy is forced into a fixed position while last hitting. You also never really want to be using your E by itself unless it's to peel off champs that are jumping on top of you. Hitting Q first and then following with E is going to be the best way to combo the spell, because when the enemy is slowed by your Q, it makes landing E so much more guaranteed. Level 6 is where you can really take over with Vel, as his damage output on a squishy champ with just a Q into R combo is really strong. The best build for Vel consists of a Horizon Focus Rush into Liandry's second, and Realm Spike should always be your item upgrade. Comet is the Keystone rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch, followed by Biscuits and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. If you're a top lane main anywhere in between Gold and Emerald right now, you need to be taking advantage of Maokai. The champ is just flat out OP right now, and the majority of players have yet to realize it. The champ is simple enough to play that anyone in this elo bracket can pick him up, and even though he doesn't have the same kind of late game solo carry power as someone like Mundo, the mid game teamfight impact of Maokai is unmatched. The reliable engage that Maokai provides makes fighting around key objectives incredibly valuable. Using Maokai's R in the river is literally guaranteed to hit because it's got such a large width and covers that entire area. It's the core build that is pushing Maokai over the top right now, as you go Unending Despair with Winter's Approach and Spirit Visage. You just don't die with this build, while at the same time are able to dish out a good amount of consistent damage with his low cooldown on Q. The rune page is going to be Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Revitalize, while Biscuits and Cosmic Insight are for secondaries. A really strong jungle champ for the majority of elos right now, but who's excelling the most in the mid elo bracket is Wukong. After repeated buffs throughout Season 14, Wukong is back to being a phenomenal jungle carry. Mechanically, Wukong is pretty easy to play as he doesn't have a single skill shot in his kit. Similar to what we touched on for Warwick earlier in the video, this lower skill floor means that when you get ahead, it's a lot less likely that you're going to throw the game. Even if you get ahead on someone like Lee Sin, you can still mess up by missing Q or failing a ward hop. That's just not the case with Wukong though, and it makes the champ a super reliable carry. You go Trinity Force into Sundered Sky for the 2-item core on Wukong, and this build just offers up a ton of skirmish power. Q hurts really hard when you have this build, as you'll be proccing both the Trinity Force and Sundered Sky passives when using the spell. For Wukong's rune page, you want to be taking Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, followed by Freeboots and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. One of the best mid laners that you can pick up if you're in the mid elo bracket is Vex. Vex does require a bit more skill to play than someone like Mal, so it makes Vex much better suited for the mid elo bracket. What makes Vex so strong is her ability to hard counter so many melee mids, and in mid elo, players will have a much easier time executing on this. If you're in low elo, your knowledge around early trading and how to play out specific matchups is likely not the best, which makes Vex a lot better for mid elo. You should have the fundamentals down on how to trade in lane once you are gold and above, and with this, you can do an amazing job at beating up on champs like Sylas, Yasuo, LeBlanc, and Yone. If you really want to polish up on your trading knowledge, then our Master in Minutes course on the topic is a great resource to help you out. The core build you'll want to take on Vex consists of a Luden's Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Rabadon's or Zanya's 3rd. For the rune page, look to run Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter, while Mana Flow and Transcendence are for secondaries. One of the best ADCs in the entire game for mid elo and above right now is Corki. We could have had Corki as our ADC pick for either mid or high elo, as he's just that good right now, so if you are gold or above, Corki should be in your champion pool. What makes Corki so great for solo queue is that he has very defined power spikes that you can play off of extremely easily. Trinity Force Spike is such a huge point in the game for Corki, as he's going to be able to win the 2v2 in the majority of matchups when he has the item. The enemy ADC could be up in gold on you, but if you have Trinity, that likely doesn't even matter. That's how powerful the spike is for Corki. When you complete the item, making sure your support is on the same page as you is key. It's likely your support is not going to realize how strong your Trinity spike is, so you will have to tell them to look to fight when you have it. After building Trinity Force, it's going to be Manamune 2nd and then Rapid Fire Cannon 3rd. The best rune page for Corki revolves around Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Cutdown, followed by Biscuit and Jack of all trades for secondaries. Our support selection for the mid elo bracket is going to be a champ who's a little more team reliant than someone like Vel'Koz, but still has a ton of carry power, being Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench definitely used to be more of a supportive support who didn't really have any sort of damage threat or solo kill power. Well, that's definitely not the case anymore, because even though you're playing him support, you build build him exactly like you would as a top laner. Instead of going for a support item like Locket, it's Heart Steel that you rush on Tahm Kench, and this allows for you to be a little more proactive yourself and not super team reliant. At the same time though, Tahm still has the amazing peel power coming from his R, so you've got multiple different ways to impact games with the champ right now. So the core build that we would recommend you run on Tahm consists of Heart Steel into Unending Despair, while Solstice Slay is the item upgrade. If you have not played Tahm in a while, his rune page is also quite a bit different than before, as you don't want to run Guardian and instead take Grasp. Grasp just amplifies the solo carry power of Tahm even more, as it gives himself more damage when fighting, while Guardian is the more defensive option. Moving on to our high elo picks now. First up for top lane is going to be Ambessa. League's newest champ is an extremely powerful carry right now, but she's definitely much more high elo skewed. Ambessa has such a unique kit, which makes her skill floor higher than most champs. This makes her much better suited for high elo where players have really good game knowledge already, so they can put more of their energy into maximizing Ambessa's kit. Ambessa's a champ where knowing your exact limits is really key as well, due to her incredible extended fight power. Just having the game knowledge to realize if you're going to be able to win 1v2s or outnumbered fights will really help you excel on the champ. Ambessa does have some of the best 1v2 potential for any top laner once she has a couple items, so being able to leverage that is key to finding maximum results on the champ. The core build for Ambessa consists of an Eclipse or Voltaic Cyclosword Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Spear of Shojin 3rd. For the rune page, look to grab Conqueror with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand, while Shield Bash and Second Wind are for secondaries. A jungler who always seems to be quite strong for the higher elos and who's in a great spot right now is Graves. If you're interested in picking up Graves, then our Mastered Minutes course for the champ can help you out a bunch to fast track your success. Graves is always going to be a champ who finds far greater success in the higher ranks just due to the min-maxing requirement to play him optimally. Being a shorter range champ combined with the fact that the majority of Graves' consistent damage comes from his autos means that you have to be mechanically sound on him to make the champ more worth playing than easier picks. With that said, if you can actually play Graves at a high level, then his raw carry strength is close to unmatched with how much consistent and burst damage he can deal. Getting to your core build of Ghostblade and the Collector allows you to start hitting really hard, and you'll be close to one-shotting squishy champs. For Graves' rune page, you should be taking Dark Harvest with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter, while Triumph and Alacrity are the best secondaries. One mid lane champ who's super strong right now that you can get more out of playing in high elo is Galio. Galio has really good map impact with his semi-global from R, and in higher ranks, this ability is way more powerful. When you're in the higher ranks, you can rely on your teammates a bit more, and this helps Galio out a bunch. Galio has some of the best peel power on any champ, which means if you have a fed carry on your team, keeping them alive and playing for them is a great win condition. Especially if the enemy comp is heavy dive, being able to Galio ult your ADC while the enemy team tries to dive in on them is such high value. The build that works best for Galio consists of a Hollow Radiance Rush into Riftmaker 2nd and Zanya's 3rd. It's Aftershock for the Keystone Rune with Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, followed by Nimbus Cloak and Transcendence for secondaries. Taking home our ADC selection for high elo is going to be Kog'Maw. There's a couple of factors in play that make Kog better suited for high elo right now. First is that he actually has two different builds that he can run, which gives him a lot of versatility, but at the same time makes him more difficult to play optimally. If you can play both AP and AD Kog to a good level right now, then he's definitely one of the best bot lane carries. This is easier said than done though, which makes Kog a lot better in the hands of more experienced players. The second factor is that Kog is definitely a champ who relies more on his team to play around him in order to find the most success. Due to lacking a gap closer, if your teammates are not going to play for you, then surviving in fights does become quite difficult. Support players are going to be a lot more competent in the higher elos though, which does give Kog more value. The AP build for Kog'Maw consists of a Luden's Rush into Archangel 2nd and Horizon Focus 3rd, and you'll be taking Comet as the Keystone Rune with this build. The AD build revolves around Blade of the Rune King with Rage Blade and Hurricane, while Lethal Tempo is the Keystone Rune. In Diamond elo and above right now, there's one support in specific who's just outclassing everyone else, and that champ is Poppy. With over a 53% win rate in Diamond and above, Poppy is dominating high elo games right now. Where Poppy can really shine is when playing up against melee supports who have dashes like Pyke, Rel, Leona, and Rakan. Especially for the likes of Rakan and Pyke, we see them picked way more in high elo than in low elo, which is great for Poppy. There are just a lot more mobile champs in general played in the higher elos, like Lee in the jungle and Aatrox or Ambessa for top lane, which gives Poppy a lot more value. Bloodsong is the item upgrade for Poppy, while Deadman's Plate is the rush item followed by Locket 2nd. The rune page consists of Hail of Blades with Sudden Impact, Zombie Ward, and Relentless Hunter, while Hex Flash and Cosmic Insight are the best secondaries. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So that's gonna wrap everything up for our latest update on the best champions for every elo. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.